بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ومولانا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا Muhammad. It's Ramadan, 1445. We continue Ramadan with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. Day 3 is the birthday of the Queen of Creation, Our Lady Fatima, على أبيها وعليها وعلى آل بيت النبوة السلام. This lesson is entitled The Face of God. In the first line of As-Salah Al-Azimiyya, Sayyidi Ahmad bin Idris says, Rahimahullah, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi nuri wajhi Allahi al-azim. My Lord, I ask you by the magnificent light of the countenance of God. In commentary on As-Salah Al-Azimiyya, the Gnostic Muhammad Baha'u'ddin al-Baytari al-Shami al-Maydani, who passed in 1314, says, وإن جعلنا الإضافة تخصيصية أردنا بوجه الله نور وجه الإنسان الكامل الذي هو الصورة المحمدية في كل زمان حسب استعداد ذلك الزمان، فليس الكامل الفرد في كل زمان إلا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم، والكمل في الحقيقة من قال عنهم الصديق رضي الله عنه ارقبوا محمدا في عطرته. Meaning, we intend by the light of God's countenance, the light of the countenance of the perfected human being, which is the Muhammadan form in every time period, in accordance to its preparedness. For there is no one who is wholly perfected in any time period except Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. In actuality, those who are perfected are those about whom Sayyiduna Abu Bakr, Allah be well pleased with him, said, Seek out Muhammad in his pure progeny. والمراد بفرعه صلى الله عليه وسلم كل كامل يشاهد سلمان منا أهل البيت، فاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم يطلق عند العارفين على كل أستاذ كامل متحقق بالروح المحمدية كمال التحقيق، كما سيأتي قول سيدي أحمد بن إدريس رضي الله عنه واجعله يا ربي روحا لذاتي من جميع الوجوه في الدنيا قبل الآخرة يا عظيم. Which means, what is intended by his branch is every perfected one who beholds Salman is of us, Ahlul Bayt. Thus the name Muhammad is appended by the Gnostics by extension to every perfected sheikh who has achieved full realization in the Muhammadan spirit. So, if the spirit of his essence is equated with one's own in all facets, then they are as if one and the same. End quote. The Muwajaha principle is based on this reality, that the countenance of God is reflected in the countenance of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. This is al-haqiqa al-Muhammadiyya. And that is why the gaze of a murabbi can bring about deep changes within the hearts of people and guide them to their salvation. Our beloved Shaykh Al-Habib Abu Bakr Al-Mashhur would say, لولا المربي ما عرفت ربي. Had it not been for the spiritual guide, I would not have come to know my Lord. This is the inspiration for the naming of our new subgenre of exegesis, the Tarbawi Tafsir. Here we remind of the words from our lesson entitled The Orbit of Mary. Begin quote. In the Quranic universe, all forms revolve around a meaning. These axes of meaning are the divine realities created within them, and so the mighty celestial expanse of the Quran can only be navigated by discovering these orbits. This is what our tafsir journey is about. End quote. The Muwajaha principle has several beautiful implications. Each one is associated with a facial capacity. The face holds 5 faculties. The eyes, the faculty of vision. The ears, the faculty of hearing. The tongue, the faculty of speech. The lips, the faculty of love. The forehead, the faculty of imagination. The 3 Quranic addresses apply to each faculty. And so, through the Tarbawi Tafsir, we achieve the perfection of each faculty until the Muhammadan face is complete, a full moon of meanings. We begin with the eyes, the faculty of vision. The Adamic address begins with blindness. Adam and Hawa could not even see their own nakedness, and it was not until Satan whispered to them that they began to perceive it. God says, فَأَكَلَا مِنْهَا فَبَدَتْ لَهُمَا سَوْآتُهُمَا وَطَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا مِنْ وَرَقِ الْجَنَّةِ وَعَصَى آدَمُ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى. Surah Taha, verse 121. The same meaning is again mentioned in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 22. فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ فَلَمَّا ذَاقَ الشَّجَرَةَ بَدَتْ لَهُمَا سَوْآتُهُمَا وَطَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا مِنْ وَرَقِ الْجَنَّةِ. And they both ate from it, Adam and his wife. Thus they became conscious of their nakedness and began to cover themselves with leaves from the garden. Adam disobeyed his Lord and erred. The first thing we note is the dual Adamic address to both Adam and Eve, symbolic of the Adamic equality of men and women. This is an axial point in understanding the Adamic verses in the Quran, and it is a cornerstone of the Sharia. The second thing we notice is the Adamic reality of the eyes, an inward reality of recognition of the lower self that leads to an outward modesty that prompts the veiling of the body. In this, we see a magnificent reality, which is the Adamic aspect of the Sharia and its governing of the ego. The Sharia doesn't subverge our human nature. In fact, it perfects it. The Adamic reality of the eyes culminates in the Prophet Yusuf, alayhi salam, in which the beauty of his inward appearance was so alluring that his outward appearance caused the women of his time to be completely blinded by desire to such an extent that they cut their own hands. God says, فَلَمَّا رَأَيْنَهُ أَكْبَرْنَهُ وَقَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنَّ وَقُلْنَ حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. Surah Yusuf, verse 31. And when the women saw him, they were stunned by his beauty and cut their hands, exclaiming, God is great. He cannot be mortal. He must be a precious angel. First, we must note, every Adamic address in the Quran is directed at both men and women equally. The Yusufi reality is not based in gender at all, but rather it is a spiritual reality. Was it really just that he was a handsome man? Absolutely not. It was that he resisted temptation and upheld loyalty and gratitude to his master, even against his own desires, and that he shunned the riches and advantages that his mistress might have accorded him in sin. Al-Tahara, Al-Wafa, Al-Zuhd, Al-Jamal, Al-Yusufi, ala nabiyyina wa alayhi salam. He was not immune to temptation. He felt it as a human being, just as we still feel hunger, even while fasting. We cannot remove the Adamic reality from our being, but we can perfect it. The fast reminds us of the Adamic Quranic address, which teaches us that without the Quran, without adherence to divine guidance, the human degenerates into the satanic, and that it is only through the Quran that we may rise to the next level of address. The Quran must be read holistically, with all of the three Quranic addresses to be understood and applied correctly: the Adamic, the Abrahamic, and the Muhammadan. These three also bequeath a true understanding of their sister realities: fitrah, faith, and fiqh. When these realities converge, their synergy produces a countenance of light, a full moon, a majestic, prophetic beauty. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alih. In tomorrow's lesson, we further discuss the Yusufi reality and continue the journey of the Quranic addresses through the vision faculty. Allahumma ja'al al-Qur'ana noor absarina. Allahumma atmim lana noorana. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, noor al-anwar, wa sirr al-asrar, wa taryaq al-aghyar, wa miftah bab al-yasar, Sayyidina Muhammadin al-Mukhtar, wa alihi al-athhar, wa ashabihi al-akhyar, adada ni'am Allahi wa ifdalih. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.